As always, don't forget to check the video description down below. It's basically like a store. Newly, we are partnered with a school. If you know how system works on a car, you can always figure out the problem. Today, we have also best price on parts and tools in the video. Today, we have a Dodge Durango. It's a 3.6 liter, and I'm gonna briefly go over how to replace the starter. I'm gonna show you every little thing you need to know. Let's check it out. Okay guys, so I saw this little video. It's like a minute and a half. A dude said it's like an hour job, and he said you don't have to remove the bracket all the way. Kind of true, not an hour job. I have like about 15 years experience, and this is kicking my butt. So it calls for 1.6 hours, so it's probably about like a 2-hour job your first time. If you have a lot of experience, I'd give it 3 hours if you're new at this thing. Now, first thing you're gonna want to do is come over here to the back, come to your battery, and you're gonna want to disconnect that battery and this is where your battery's at, right? So we're gonna want to disconnect the battery because you're gonna be right up on that power wire, and you will definitely blow a fuse and make sparks and probably scare the tar out of yourself. So you disconnect the battery, then there is a little skirt looking thing right there. Okay, you can see mine's kind of pushed down, and if you look, there's a hole right there. That's a 10mm, and you just take that 10mm off, and then go ahead and lift your car. Always use a jack stand, and if you look up under here, you can now, there normally be a skirt here, but once you take that 10mm out, which that's the hole for it up there, you push the skirt forward and just kind of squish it down out of your way, and then you can see I got a bolt hole there, and we got a bolt hole right there. Okay, and you can see right here, there you go. And you can't, it's hard to see that left one because the mount has moved a little bit, but it's two 15mm bolts. And before you start taking those out, what you're gonna wanna do, I'm gonna recommend using a block of wood, okay? Because you don't wanna just let the car down onto, you don't wanna let the transmission down onto a jack stand like I've done. The way I did it is I used minimal pressure, so I know I'm not gonna hurt the transmission. But if you don't know what you're doing and you just let it all the way down on the transmission, you could damage your transmission. So you're gonna have to rest it on the transmission, a jack stand on the transmission, and just let it down a little bit. What that's gonna do is gonna take the pressure off of your motor mount. Now, there was those 2 bolts through the hole, and then there's 2 more bolts. There's gonna be one right there and one right there. The other side, they're all 15s. I think you can see it right there. Okay, and I took a wrench, a 15mm wrench, to get to the bottom ones, and then the top ones I took a long extension. Here, I'll show you. I took an extension set up like this with a 15, and then just kind of reached back, and I had the handle of my ratchet was like right here, so I wasn't like, you know, back in there, it's out of the way. And that's how I got the top 2 off, and then of course we can get those bottom 2, and then probably the least fun part of this project for me was the wires. Okay, so now we're looking, I've already taken the starter out, but there's the 2 starter bolts. Those are also 15. For those, I took extensions and came back a little bit. Same kind of deal, just extensions, 3 ratchet and a 15mm socket to get those bolts out. Now, since I have the starter, I can show you the wires. And also I want to show you what it looks like. I took all the bolts. And there's a 15 here, and there's a 15 on the back side of this thing. Let's see if I can show you. It would be sitting like right up here. So, and for those I took a wrench. I used a wrench to get those out. Now, once you got all that, it's gonna give you just this little bit of wiggle room. It's like, man, Dodge, why wouldn't you just give us like an extra ½ inch? Because it's like not even that much room. But it gives you a little bit of extra wiggle room. You don't have to take the whole thing out. But here are the wires, okay? Now, this wire right here, the squeeze and pull wire, was the biggest, hardest son of a biscuit that I was struggling with. And basically, you're just gonna squeeze it, and this is a 13mm wire. 13mm nut goes on the end of that, and I had quite a time. You just push and then get it off the stud, because unless you want to take that wire off of whatever it's on. I didn't want to do that, but you can just kind of push it off. Now, for this wire, what I did, I'm gonna show you the two ways I was kind of working with it. So one way, you can see the car, the tires right there. I'm laying, what is it? It's not parallel, perpendicular. I'm laying perpendicular, I hope that's right, with the car. And then I'll reach my arm up in here, and you can kind of push beyond that bracket and get your hand up in there and squeeze and work with it a little bit. Now, I did that. I also laid parallel with the car, okay? And I took my left hand and came up through here. And where is it? Okay, you can see, and I reached up in here and would push back up against the motor mount, which I'd already taken out. And then I was able to squeeze and pull and get that off. Okay, now, the other thing you want to know is you don't want to loosen your starter all the way until you get your wires off, because it being bolted to the car is going to keep it so that it's nice and sturdy. And when you try and take that 13 off, it's going to leave it nice and sturdy. And then when you're trying to squeeze and pull that wire off, it's going to be sturdy. So get your wires off first, then take your bolts out. And then the starter, I'll show you. Here's the old one. Well, it's all oily. But here's the starter. Basically, how you're gonna take it out and put it back in is I'll just go up through here, try and give you an idea what's going on. Is you're going to push it. You're gonna push it up like this, right? And then you're gonna, once you've got it up in there, then you're gonna bring the nose back in. Coming out's gonna be the same way, and I think I've got it upside down. But coming out's gonna be the same way. You're gonna kind of, if you can imagine it sitting in there like this, right? You're gonna stick it out and then try and work it up, and then try and nose dive it down through. And that's how I was holding it when it came out. So it's not, I've done a lot of starters and alternators. As long as you got that bracket out, it's really not that bad. Like, you know, if I was watching this video, I would be worried. I'd be like, is it really that easy? Yes, it's not that bad. Taking this off probably took me, once I had the bolts out and the wires off, it probably took me 40 seconds, 30, 40 seconds. Taking that back, you can see I bent up that little connector on the back of that starter. Taking that wire off the back of the starter, the connector, that probably took me, it feels like 10 minutes. It might have been 5 to 7 minutes. That was a booger. I did not like doing that. But yeah, once you get the bolts off, it's not that bad coming out. So anyways, as far as putting it back on, just make sure, you know, of course, you get it back up in there, get everything tight, and it's pretty simple of a project. Just remember to put your battery cable back on, and that's pretty much it, guys. So okay, guys, it seems like I always want to add something. This is a sizable job. Like, it's not just like a quick, easy 10-minute starter. Okay, so I would recommend, if you got like a little jump box or you got your battery, what you could do is you could take some jumper cables from your battery, hook the negative up here, the positive is going to go on this bolt right here, and then you're going to take your power probe and just hook it up like I got it there. And what we're doing is we're just making sure the starter works, because as you've seen, I posted a video before where you get bad new starters, and I'd hate for this to be a bad new one, put it all back together and it's bad. And then, so once you got everything hooked up, you got your little power probe, you're going to step on it. And hey, I know that one works. And I tested this car pretty good before I even took it off, but I did the same test on this one and nothing on that one. No click, no nothing. So we know that's bad. We know this is good. We know it fixed the problem. So I don't always say this, because if it's like a 30-minute job or 20-minute job, it's like, who cares? You could just take it right back off. But I would not want to go through all this again if that was bad right out the box. So anyways, that's it. If this video helps, don't forget to throw up that like and hit that subscribe button. Thank y'all so much for doing that. And the best way to show Fixbook love, just buy something down below. There's lots of cool things. There's parts, and there's online manuals now too with repair information, gives you wiring diagrams and all that fun stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.